In the old days when they had video stores, either the mom and pop or Blockbuster, I would see it on the shelf and always got a kick out of it. You know, you didn't have your iPhone camera at the time, so you couldn't take a photo and do one of these, you know. But yeah, I did see it and always, again, brought back great memories and like, oh wow, okay, that's me. I am John Gigante, and I played Abel Evans in Phantom Brother. It was the summer of '88. I was getting married in October. Probably just a few weeks before that, my wife's dear friend, Laura, said to my wife, "Your husband's an actor." My friend Billy, who I work with, is looking for an actor. Met Billy pretty quickly. We hit it off instantly, had the kind of same vibe about film and love of movies. And instantly he said, "Hey, you're my man, you're on." So it happened actually pretty quickly, but that's how it happened.
You're pretty.
You're interesting.
Let's take a look at the script. What's this guy about? You know, the usual, what's the motivation, besides no paycheck? I don't think, anyway. And I was so happy to just get a gig and be on a film set, and it was actually all local because we lived up here at the time.
Now, we got exploitation in the film, and we're losing the light, so let's do it!
Billy, quite a character. You know, he's a quirky guy, great guy, funny guy, and also loved the craft and the art of what he was doing. And that energy really helped me, especially being like a newbie on a film set in that way. He did give me a ton of room to make some choices. He had specific ideas about certain things. I enjoyed working with Bill a lot. It was a good experience.
Here, it's great, it works. We can do it for under $500,000.
It was really upbeat, it was fun, you know, cut, and everybody's cracking up, laughing. It wasn't really like intense like that. And that's from my point of view as an actor. I mean, on the crew side, everybody might have been flipping out for whatever reason, but I wasn't either privy to that or I didn't feel that at the time. And being a film lover, I just really loved being on the set and watching everything come together. So I definitely made it a point to be there even if my character wasn't working that day. And also help out in whatever way, you know, you could.
This is so typical. You can make the mess, can't you? But you're never around for the cleanup, huh?
Some things that I learned that were new, a number of things, was eye line, who you're talking to, how close to the camera are they, lighting, whether you were backlit, you know, those type of basic film things I learned a lot about. Sound, of course. And years later, I'll never forget watching a Michael Caine video teaching actors how to work on film. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I remember that, oh yeah.
This is my specialty.
So to be honest, I don't even remember reading a full script. The thing I believe had evolved over time. It was mostly Billy who was telling me what it was about and then sending me sides and scenes and this and that.
Sacrificial altar. Ow.
Oh, no, you can't scrap the sacrificial altar. That's my favorite part of this whole screenplay.
It's not working. It's out.
Things were changed a lot as we actually filmed. I didn't have enough knowledge in the film world to know if there was a major mess going on. I looked at it as always just playing it straight because to me, real comedy comes from the truth. It wasn't like Billy or I think everyone else was looking to smack people over the head. It was just like these characters were just real to who they were. And the comedy would definitely come from that. And of course the script, which was very just tongue-in-cheek. It kind of reminded me of a Benny Hill movie.
Really? So you're a little hungry. Is that any reason to hack up half the sophomore class?
I mean, the scenes that I liked was him dealing with the brother. I guess it was just the dichotomy of these two different or part of his own personality. And that was challenging because in a way you were, you know, talking to your own psyche. So it was fun. And Billy and I would talk about that often. I mean, I remember one scene where Abel has to dig in the ground and find something, and just off camera, Billy was yelling, make believe it's this, make believe it's that, you know, and it was just so bizarre. But again, I always figured, let me play it straight, and then Billy can adjust if need be. So as far as the mask, I think some of it was me, and I think some of it had to be the other actor. But I think it might have been a 50-50 thing in scenes that, you know, the character wasn't needed. Maybe actually for the close-ups, it might have been me. I'm not sure. I just remember Billy talking about eyes, eyes, eyes.
Now these are the first victims. Guys from school would bring their girls up to the house telling them they were coming to look for my dad's hidden treasure.
In terms of the voiceover, some of it was scripted in the beginning, which kind of gave me an insight into like what was going on. But then I think ultimately, after it was all filmed, it probably, and I don't know this for sure, was rewritten just to kind of accommodate what went on. And again, playing it straight and natural and, you know, looking for the joke, but not like beating you over the head with the joke. And I think we did it probably a month or so later in Billy's apartment. We actually went to do it.
First a trickle, then a river, a flood of life, and I've got to try and put it back.
Prior to all this, I had studied at Wagner College on Staten Island. I'm from Brooklyn, but went to Wagner and when we moved to the island. And after that, of course, BA in theater. And I had studied after college in the city at Circle in the Square, which I absolutely loved. Then auditioning and that type of thing. I worked for my dad, which was great. Dad, I have an audition. I got to take off, you know, so that was perfect. I think at the time I might have had a small role on Loving, which was ABC's soap opera Loving. I think that was around the same era. So after Phantom Brother, I guess was the heyday of my work just in terms of hitting the pavement, you know, auditioning here and there. Did a lot of black box theater, which in the city is just like off-Broadway type stuff. We started our own theater company here in Westchester called City Line Players. Did a ton of extra work on great films, including, you know, Godfather 3, Goodfellas. So, you know, I worked as an actor. Then I got a gig as Ben Stiller's stand-in, which was fantastic. I did about 12 films with Ben. Wonderful guy. We started with Keeping the Faith with Ed Norton. About a week into it, who comes walking down the street on the set, I lived in the city at the time, is his mom, Ann Mira. And Ann says, "John, what are you doing here?" And Ben looks at me like, how does he know my mother? I lived in the same neighborhood as Ann. She would see me, you know, walking around, and I'd always say hi and be cordial. That was the stamp of approval. Ben, like 2 days later, "Listen, I'm doing a film with De Niro. Do you think you want to work on it?" Meet the Parents. And that turned into, boom, Zoolander, Royal Tenenbaums. You know, it was a wonderful, wonderful run. And I'm very grateful to him. And then many years later, fast forward, Ben and Christine, his wife, moved to LA, and that was kind of the end of that era for me. But when Ann was not doing well, and she was in a nursing home, and I was like, I got to go visit Ann. So I went there, and, you know, they had, of course, screened me. They called Ben's office. "Who's this guy? John Gigante wants to come upstairs see your mother." And gave me the okay to go see Ann. And I was very grateful to her to say thank you for that little thing you did. Really helped me out, you know, as an actor. And, you know, so it was nice.
Here he is, little Ricky Cucini, who made a big success of himself in the movie biz.
Mrs. Costello.
What is it now, 3 big movies? And that thing with the actress. I knew it wouldn't last. I knew. You know how it is with those Hollywood types.
So Cucini was an interesting story. I tried everything as an actor, and I was like, you know what? I lived in LA at the time because I moved to LA. I got a small thing on a sitcom that never made it, but I stayed because I was like, it's time to explore a new area. And I went to see Swingers, John Favreau and Vince Vaughn. And I said, wow, they made this film for like peanuts. It's kind of like a documentary. I'm going to write my own film. So I wrote what I knew best, which was the Italian-American family culture. And my friend Richie and I evolved a story around that. And it became a real thing. My cousin Anthony and then by that time had, you know, good solid friends with real jobs that said, hey, we should put an LLC together, let's raise the money, blah, 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 blah. And that's what happened. And working on Keeping the Faith, I met a wonderful gentleman called Gerald Orange, who was De Niro's bodyguard. Gerald, beautiful man. I said, listen, I'm writing a film. You got to be in it. I want you to play this character. He's like, absolutely, absolutely. And in turn says, who's he playing the grandfather? I said, well, I don't have anyone yet. I'm trying to get Pat Cooper, the Italian-American comic, who was brilliant at the time. And then things went on with Pat. It didn't work out. Gerald says, hey, I'm in the actor's studio. I can ask Bert. Bert Young says, yeah, tell the kid to send me the script. We sent it to him. Calls me a week later. Listen, I'm taking a ride to Albany. You got to take a ride with me. I'm like, oh, shit. So we literally drove to Albany, me and Richie, with Bert, who had a driver, in a limo. He was going to get some award, and read the script out loud to him. And he said he'll do it. And so that's how Bert came aboard. And Ben, and he said it's okay to say, he helped me financially finish the film, which at the time, and even today, was a godsend.
I just don't like the idea of you going out there by yourself.
We were at an impasse with funding, and he always would ask me, how's your film coming? How's your film coming? Oh, Bert's in it. Yeah, my mother loves Bert. They're good friends. And I was able to finish my film. It went on to win a handful of awards, and it was a good time. If we ever do the Cugini story, we got a ton of stories for that too.
We've been through something together, haven't we?
We sure have.
Pretty much, I became a dad. My daughter, who's older now, so it was time to put that on the shelf because of the ups and downs of the industry, of course. But through the years, I was trying to sell scripts. I also play the drums. So one of my biggest creative outlets is being in a band, and I still am and have been in and out of bands pre-COVID and this and that. And that is, again, soul food. But now that my daughter's older, I would really like to see if I can wrangle myself back in the industry in some way. I mean, I've written 4 different scripts. I don't know the landscape to become an actor now. It's very different. It's changed. So I would probably have to hit up some friends that can kind of guide me a little bit. And even more importantly, get my ass into class because, you get rusty after a while.
Just promise me you won't go out to the house without me again.
This whole journey recently just prompted all these ideas and things that came back into my head. And then even watching the film, I'm like, wow, all right, this actually wasn't so bad, and I'm proud of this.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. You can go back in with me and see for yourself.
A big part of it is Rob Koch, who is a dear friend now. We worked on that first film together, stayed friends. Rob worked on my film, and actually, thank God for him, because he helped me through my film, because I was totally in the pool with no raft. So really looking back, to be honest, I think that's one of the great things about it is just the relationship I've kept with a good friend, Robert Koch, who we're dear friends to this day. So through the years, when it does pop up, which honestly hasn't been a lot, a friend will look me up, and then there's a video online or there's a clip of it online, and it'll come up, and it's always great, fond memories. Or when I go to my own collection to look for something, oh, there's Phantom Brother, hey, that's me, I did eBay searches, and they come up once a month, and they're expensive on VHS, and I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy, why? And then my brother, who's really into social media, he lives out in LA, every other day he'll text me something look at this, somebody, hashtagged the film or hashtagged you. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But other than that, except for your phone call, which surprised the hell out of me and I was very grateful for, it hasn't really come up that much.
Hello? Hello? With all the nuts out there, no wonder this is a growth industry.
So yeah, it's been an interesting recap of the whole thing, which is something that I really haven't thought about in a long time. As far as the re-release, it's amazing. It kind of came out of nowhere. Who would have thunk it? We were young kids having a great time, making movies, doing what we needed to do. So I'm tickled by it. When I watch it now, it comes back to me and wow, okay, oh, that was pretty interesting. And I'm proud to be involved in it.